Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted, hanging out with
Nerdarchy Dave.
And today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dictators.
So before we get to that, though, head on down to the description where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, where you get weekly tips and as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
All right, so this is kind of inspired by a message that we received. Was that through Facebook or email?
Yeah, it was on Facebook, and they asked a really specific Pathfinder question, which we haven't played nearly enough Pathfinder to actually effectively answer the question. But there was one line in there that kind of bugged me. Mm-hmm. And that was where the DM told this player that build didn't max.
Right.
And so you have a game where Pathfinder's like that a lot anyway, where there's a lot of optimization with your builds, and it's a big part of the game.
Right.
Which is fine if that's what you enjoy. But I guess the thing that really bugged me was the DM stepping in and going and saying that that's not a maximized build. It's
right.
it just tweaked my soul in a bad way somehow. and I've seen other cases of this too, in different instances where the DM tries to take way too much interest in a player's character.
Right. Now I've made I don't know how many characters over the years, and there's times that I've specifically said, okay, well, I'm going to play something that isn't statted correctly, or this race class combination, they're not designed to really work well together. But if you've got an interesting concept, then run with it. It's more about role playing than it is about the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's different ways of maxing a build, right? You can, for maximum fun, I've heard that term used, which is a great way to go. And, years ago, we had a DM where we always said the best and worst thing the worst thing that could happen to you is if the DM really liked your character or really didn't like your character. You always wanted to fly under the radar, because he would start changing your character.
Absolutely.
We recently in a game did something I don't think we've ever done. And that was, you changed the character's alignment. Right. You are not lawful anymore. Yeah. You have not been acting lawful in quite some time. Here's your choices of alignment.
When it was when the character was like, all right, I'm going to seek to kill the mayor. I'm like, all right, well, regardless of what your course of actions to see that happen is, you aren't following the law. The laws say that you need to go through certain mechanisms, and you're not looking to do any of those. So, sorry, you can go neutral, you can go all the way to chaotic.
But lawful is out of the question.
But lawful's not.
Which is fine, and that's not really the dictator part. But it's just an example of the DM stepping in and making changes.
Right.
But that can be overdone as well.
Right.
If I'm the DM and I'm working with the player and they bring a character idea to me, or a concept, I like to try and incorporate it into the world, into the campaign. So I might offer suggestions, but I never want that player to feel like I just stole their character from them and took over.
Well, the idea that the DM is like the storyteller, the referee, the game master, the dungeon master, all of these terms are used throughout the different role-playing games that are out there, and they all work and they all don't, because really the group gets together and you're telling a story together. The DM, in my opinion, is really supposed to present story ideas and be the bounce board for what the players want to be able to do, and failing them putting forth ideas, provide a story to work with. But in so many cases, like the DMs, that I've seen all kinds of DMs, but I've seen DMs out there that are like, well, it's my way or the highway. You're going to do what I want, regardless of what you've got planned. This is what's happening, and then I've seen players who are like, oh well, no, I'm going to control the story, because realistically, if I convince the group to go left when you're saying go right, the DM can't stop me. He can put forth obstacles and he can kill us, but short of killing us, we're doing what we want. So realistically, you guys are, the group is telling a story together. You're making plans together, and you're all being part of this world together.
Yeah, I mean, and this concept really has evolved over the years. Especially in Dungeons and Dragons. It's like it being the oldest role-playing game there is, and newer games have incorporated this into the design.
Right.
But for D&D, player agency and the shared story has been an evolution. Because definitely in the very beginning, it really was. The DM was going to give you the story, and you were going to follow the adventure, and that's just how it worked. So now, where depending on the group you're with, the DM more or less just facilitates the game, and the GM and the players create it together, and really that's the method that I prefer now. Because as our game has evolved from being exposed to other things. Like Fate and Dungeon World, and other players and other GMs who have more of a player agency gaming style, which we highly recommend, is to share the experience. Don't be a dictator DM, and don't constantly be forcing your players. I mean, it's okay to do the illusion of choice, but as long as you give them the illusion, it's fine.
Right. So like, when you have the illusion of choice, for those of you that aren't aware of that, is you give them, you go left or they go right, and regardless of which way they go,
the ogre was on either side of the path.
The ogre's on either pass, or as opposed to them going up into the mountains and exploring this cave, they go the other direction, and they still wind up finding this ancient ruins, but it's underground as opposed to in the mountain. You can still use your prepared material, but they've gone in a different direction than what you thought was going to happen. You just make the modifications because they don't know what's to the left or the right unless you've told them. Don't force your players to make a choice. Don't tell them, well, you can't play that character,
or you must play this character,
unless like your specific world doesn't allow that thing, and you have a reason why you don't allow it. It's
and then that was something you would have covered in session 0,
right?
So what I'm really curious to hear about your horror stories of dictator DMs, because I know they're out there. Maybe you were one, and you're like looking back, like I know I've made plenty of mistakes, and I'm sure I've been horrible in this regards over the past like 20 years or whatever. But what I want to know is, what's your story? Let us know in the comments below while you're at it. Like, share, and subscribe.
You can head over to nerdarchy.com and check out the articles there.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.